All right, you grasshoppers. It is Friday morning, 10 o'clock, almost 10 o'clock here. And we have that handsome dude there, Tom Shea, former Navy SEAL. Sir, for how many years is a SEAL?
23.
23 years. And now he's off on his own. We're going to talk about the very motivational life he has led and continues to lead with his company. What's the name of your company again?
Adamantine Alliance.
Adamantine Alliance. Okay, so we're going to talk how Tom got to the point where he's got his own company here. But so where'd you grow up, Tom?
I grew up in southern Indiana in a little farm town that was about a mile long, and greatest life ever.
Yeah, you enjoyed the farm life? Dairy farm?
No, I didn't actually grow up on a farm. I grew up in town, but the only thing going on was corn and cattle and soybeans and deer hunting, and it's a rare lifestyle that kids don't get to lead anymore.
Yeah, I was very fortunate too. It's interesting to hear you say that because I grew up on a dairy farm, and you've already done a book. I'm in the process of doing a book, and during that thing, maybe look back at my life and all the great things I got from growing up on the farm, the work ethic, the attention to detail, and all that. So what did you dream of being a Navy SEAL when you were a kid, or how'd that all come about?
That's always a good question. I had grown up. My dad had known a SEAL before they were SEALs, and he was with the Scouts and Raiders in World War II. And when he was 17, he went through training. Get a lie to get in, but in World War II, they needed bodies, and I think they waived a lot of things that they don't waive now. But so I grew up with a guy that had been in probably 20 major naval invasions before he was 21. And I grew up with him. And I thought that I'd wanted to be a SEAL just, because you grow up with great dudes like that, and it's a rare thing to have. And so I'd always thought about it. But my dad was a West Point grad, so that thought made it past my lips and didn't hit him in the ears too well. And he would have none of it. But I grew up dreaming of being a Navy SEAL.
So he wanted to be in the Army?
I didn't want to intentionally, but as I got older and going to West Point for all the football games, and I was a pretty good football player, and I got recruited to go there, and Navy wouldn't have anything to do with me, so I like hell with it. I'm going to go in the Army.
Really? The Navy didn't want you?
I got full ride to Tennessee and didn't even get my application to Indiana accepted. And West Point picked me up, and however that nut roll goes for kids. So I went to West Point instead.
And graduated from West Point?
No, I failed out my junior year.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
So how does it get from where you fail out your junior year to then you become a Navy SEAL?
Well, dude, when you've hit bottom, there's no way to go but up. And so, when I failed out, I came home, and my dad, I went back to talk to this guy that I'd known that was a SEAL. And his advice probably transformed where I was. And if you've ever failed at something that you were committed to, it's tough. And he said, well, what sticks in your craw every day of the year that you really wish you had done? And I said, I wish I'd gone into the SEAL program. And he goes, I tell you what, if you don't try, you'll be less of a man. And I'm like, okay, I'll try. And I asked Dad at the time, and he's like, nope, you can't go. You're not going to go enlisted. You have to be an officer. So I tried to get into the officer program, and it was a 2-year wait unless you're an academy grad. And I'm like, I'm done with that. And so I went to Ball State, got my degree. And in my senior year, I'm like, I'm old enough now. Nobody's going to tell me what to do. And I went down to the recruiting office and signed up for the SEAL program.
Wow. It's interesting what I hear you say about hitting rock bottom when you fail out and how you got the advice and you got to go do something, right? If the Navy SEAL thing is what you want to do. I was many, many moons ago trying out for the Canadian Olympic hockey team back for the 1980 Olympics. And I've told a story to a lot of kids. I went to training camp, and I decided it was going to be a really smart idea the first night of training camp to go out and have several adult beverages with a couple of buddies of mine. and then come back and you're staying in this double wide construction trailer because they couldn't afford hotels or anything. And we decided it would be brilliant around 2 a.m. to take all the furniture out of the TV room and put it on top of the trainer's car. Then
it made sense. I'm sure it made sense.
Totally makes sense. And then I took it a step further, thought it was really going to be brilliant to wake the trainer up at 2 a.m. and inform him that we've done this. And thinking it was just, like you said, make perfect sense. I woke up the next day and this Father Bauer, who ran Hockey Canada, came up to me. I thought he's coming up to me to give me a big hug, welcome me to the program. And he had a plane ticket in his hand and handed me the plane ticket and sent me home that same day. So I went through the same thing. I had to crawl back home and embarrassed that not only did I not make the team, but I didn't make the team because of my own pure stupidity. So it was at that time, it was me. I had to make a decision either I was going to crawl back home or do something about it. And it was my senior year at college, and we ended up having I was captain of the team, ended up having a great year and went to the national championship, and then was lucky to turn pro after that. So I know you and I are the same way. We're trying to teach people and motivate people, and I think, it's a lesson there, right? You've made a mistake. Now you got a decision to make. Now you got to do something about it. So,
I heard somebody say 100 times over my career is that the bottom has produced more winners than the top. And what I know now in business that I knew in the teams, like most team guys, I'd say 90% of them had hit bottom somewhere before they came in.
Right.
And that makes you resilient. And that aspect of hitting bottom and recovery and doing something double down hard than what you actually failed at, I think is the preeminent way to create success.
And do you think that happened to you? Like when you failed out, then you said, this is what you dreamed of doing anyways, but it gave you that fuel for the fire. I mean, because obviously going through the buds training there's a lot of times where you got a choice. You're going to ring the bell and go home, or you got to fight through it.
Yeah. I think when you hit bottom, you either totally fall apart or you realize, dude, it can't get any worse than this. So if I fail again, who cares? I might as well try something I really, really want to do. Yeah. And there's a lot of details to that, but I said, well, it can't get any worse than this.
So do you think the buds training, for everybody that doesn't know, if buds training is for Navy SEALs, it's the mental and physical test to I guess the final step really to get into the teams program, correct?
Yeah, it's a two-phase approach. The first one is 6 months long, and the next one is 5 months. So buds is the first 6 months, and then SEAL qualification training is the second 5 months. And everybody hears about the first period called buds, and that's where everybody fails or quits.
Right.
And then you start teaching tactics and teamwork in the second 5 months.
And so, I've talked to a few guys about buds training, and obviously the whole point is like one of the things you learn is life's not fair, right? So this isn't about fairness or anything like that. They're testing you to see if you can battle through. Was there times that you wanted to quit?
Oh, yeah, every day. So anybody that says they didn't want to quit doesn't really reflect well on the pro. They don't allow people to try as many times as I did. I was allowed, if you will, 5 separate times. And I made it to Hell Week 5 times. And I got injured in 4. I got kicked out of training for about 9 months, and I had to come back and try again. And the quitting was really preeminent in my brain in the first 3 classes. And then I got to a point that I think is a powerful point that I didn't really care what happened. I was just going to do it. And even though I got injured again in the 3rd class and again in the 4th class, I didn't consider quitting as a way to get out of it. And that is actually what they want you to learn. Because I went back as an instructor later, and what you get as an instructor, you don't understand as a student, but what they want to teach you is nobody cares about you. You said you would be here. If you don't want to stay, leave, because we only want people who are going to keep solving the problem, even if their legs are broken Even if they have to give the helm to somebody else, they're just problem solvers.
Right.
And they're never looking for a way out. And gosh, only 11% of the people can figure that out.
Did you think you had that in you prior to going through Bud?
I don't think so. I thought I understood what tough was, and that shit gets dissolved in the first half an hour of SEAL training.
Yeah.
You think you're tough, and then the first part of SEAL training or first day is you get up and we're supposed to do 25 push-ups. You do 500 because every time you get to 24, you start over. And every time you get to the next 24, you start over. And the instructor doing it doesn't even break a sweat. I'm like, well, I'm in shape. That dude doesn't even look like he even cares.
Yeah.
And he didn't. And then you flip over on your back and you do 500 sit-ups, real sit-ups. And if you don't do them right, you have to go get wet and sandy and come back until you can do 25 perfect sit-ups. And then he gets on the pull-up bar. And I've seen an instructor do 200 pull-ups without getting off the bar. 200. Most people struggle with 10.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that's a different level than I can experience right now. So, and all the instructors there have that ability, which is a unique environment.
Right.
Probably same as hockey, is you think you're tough and then somebody skates over top of you like you didn't even know what the hell you were doing.
Yeah, it's a great point because I remember as a kid growing up, I thought it was the toughest guy on the planet, right? College and going through all that and dreamed of playing the NHL, and you watch it on TV, and then you show up and you realize, well, yeah, okay, I'm tough, but there's other guys tougher, and there's a lot of guys that are tough. That was a big thing. So you went to Hell Week 4 times and got injured?
4 times. So I went into class 195 and got a concussion during Hell Week. And then I got to roll back and start again at the beginning, not right where I left off, right at the beginning. And then I got to Hell Week again and dislocated my shoulder. And I got to skip a class. So I started up again, class 198, got to Hell Week, got pneumonia. And I got it on Wednesday, and I had to start again on Monday. I swear to God, it was easier recovering from a shoulder dislocation.
Yeah.
Because pneumonia doesn't want to go away.
Right.
And so I got to start again, hung on till Hell Week, made it to Wednesday at 10 o'clock at night. I had to make it 2 more hours, and then they would have rolled me forward out of Hell Week. Yeah. And I woke up in the hospital with pneumonia, and all my 5 lobes were 50% infiltrated with fluid. And they're like, you're done. We can't do anything for people who are accident prone. And I'm like, what the hell? Yeah. And so they kicked me out of training. And every day at my next position, I pushed to go back, and I wore the Admiral out, and he finally submitted and I made it back.
And just to be clear, Hell Week is at the end of the Buds training, at the end of the 6
No,
months.
it's week 5.
Week 5. Okay.
Of 6 months.
Of 6 months.
And then you go through dive phase and then demolition and tactics phase at the end.
So obviously they're looking at you like there's something wrong with you mentally, right? Because you won't quit.
Yeah, I think my frontal lobe doesn't work and my amygdala just doesn't fire. So,
and so you go. So that brought that no quit attitude out of you, going through that Buds training, and in some strange way, I mean, getting hurt and getting pneumonia and all that probably makes you even stronger, right? I mean, now because you just not only do you have to go through Buds, but you got to go through Buds repeatedly.
It made me more patient. Like I wanted to get through perfect. Yeah. And one thing that allowed me to do that made a bigger difference in combat other than not quitting was be patient. Nothing ever works out the way that you plan it. Right. And keep adapting, stay with it, stop listening to all the reasons to get out. And there are real reasons, like in combat, there's real reasons not to do well. Like somebody gets shot, somebody gets blown up, you're exhausted, tired, you're out of ammo. Hey, dude, stick with it. Right. And that is hard to do unless you go through a program like SEAL training.
Right. So you finally make it through, you graduate, and now you become a Navy SEAL. 21 years?
23.
23, I'm sorry. And what rank do you get to?
I retired as a senior chief or an E8.
Yeah. And who's above you? Is there at that point?
They're called team master chiefs. And then officers are above you as well.
And how many deployments did you do?
I did 6.
Well, and what I'm learning about it, I didn't understand. Just to be clear, so for a deployment, it isn't just a 6 month. It's a 6 month deployment, correct?
6, yeah.
But isn't it like a year and a half leading up to the 6 month deployment that you have to put in?
Yeah, that's a lot of stuff that people don't realize. The training in the teams is harder than combat. Right. And it lasts a year and a half long, and then you go on a 6 month deployment, then you come back for a year and a half, and you just keep that cycle going. And the training is ruthless because you can never win. They never let you win in training ever. Really?
So even the training, getting ready for deployment, I know it's not buds, but it's still a mental test. Like it's not just getting ready.
Constant. Everything in training has to be pushed until it doesn't work. Like you push each other, you push leadership skills until there's a breakdown, and then you solve the breakdown. Then you prove that you've solved it, and then you move on to something else that you can't do and keep dealing with the new crisis at hand. And there's still attrition in the SEAL teams.
Well, so I'm assuming you're probably not really comfortable talking about it, but you finally get to the point where you have the mission you told me about, where you had to go over to Afghanistan. And your mission was to take out as many members of the Taliban as possible. Is that
right? Yep. Yeah. So the SEALs had been pushed from Afghanistan to Iraq until 2009. And then Iraq flamed up again and they moved the SEALs back there. And our tasking was to, kill Taliban, which, a lot of people don't understand. That's what SEALs do. We're not really good at nation building, which I don't think the military should be doing that, but they bring us back in just to go into combat. And we were stationed in Helmand, or in southern Afghanistan, and we're just doing combat missions out of the airfield there in Afghanistan.
So at one point you get out and you get yourself into a firefight there, and is it accurate that you got to the point where you ran out of ammunition?
Yeah, so the mission that I had received the Silver Star on, but you don't get the medal then, you get it probably 4 years later. And so the mission that you asked about was about 3 months in, and it was our, I think, 12th mission. And every mission that we went on, we ran out of food, water, and ammo.
Really?
And this one was accentuated, if you will, because we had a terrible tactical position. We were in the valley and they were on the mountaintops. And we thought that the game was over because we were about 3 hours from getting picked up, and we let our guard down. And the enemy's always watching. And so they saw that, they must have seen we let our guard down, and they hit us with RPGs and machine gun fire. And we rallied, 45-minute firefight, and we'd run out of ammo. And they were still hammering us. And we ended up calling my combat controllers ended up calling a bomb on our position and killed, I think we ended up around 38 Taliban were killed during the bombing of our position. And none of us died.
Right. So, but the bombing was close enough to you that you potentially could have died that day.
Yeah, we thought we were going to die, and but SEALs don't consider being held captive, so we're like, hell, let's just kill the enemy and drop it on as close as you can to us. And so I think the bomb hit 100, 150 yards away. It was, the kill radius is about 300 yards, and we dug ourselves out of that misery, and we all survived.
Well, so you've got a period of time. How long? I don't know if you know exactly, but how long of a period of time from the time they call in the bomb strike till it actually hits?
Well, the weirdest part is talking the pilot onto your position. that is the time consumer. And while you're in a firefight, you have to be, the guys are really calm trying to say, hey, you see this building? No, I don't see that building. So you got to talk him from a mountaintop to the valley to a tree, and he's got to recognize something. And then you have to identify yourself several times, and then he locates you. And that takes a good, 2 or 3 minutes. And in a firefight, probably much like a hockey match, 2 minutes is over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like an eternity. And so we finally talk him on, and he's clear to release, and the bomb takes 10 seconds to get there.
So you've got a period of time there where you've run out of ammunition. You've made that decision now that, listen, if I'm going to go, I'm not getting captured. We're going to kill the Taliban, and we're going to potentially die ourselves. So you've got some time there to kind of think about your family at home.
Well, that actually happened before that. I had right when they hit us, an RPG kind of blew up near me and blew me into a room. While laying on the ground there, I had a lot of time to reflect on my family and my life, and trying to rally from that mental and physical state of exhaustion was rough. And I had found a way since then to be able to describe that to leaders so that they actually learn it. And not giving up on yourself is the key. Because the moment, probably same thing in a hockey match, the moment you give up, you can't skate well.
Yeah.
And so I had a floundering moment where I couldn't function. I was like, fuck, I can't do anything. I can't even pick up my gun. And I'd remember what my wife, Stacy, had said to me is, don't fear dying. It makes you weak. And I'm like, I can do that. I'm not really scared to die. And she'd also said, your job is to fight your way back to us. And I'm like, well, I know how to fight. And I started processing all those million bits of information, like one single bit at a time, like puck,
Yeah.
And so I picked up my gun, rallied, ended up shooting a sniper that had me pinned down at 600 yards, and rallied the guys who had also kind of fallen apart, and just tasked them with simple tasks. And that whole tasking out of disaster took 45 minutes. And now we're out of rounds. So I'm like, oh, okay, what do you guys want to do? Drop it. Everybody agreed, just bring it as close as you can. Hopefully it'll kill everybody and we can get the heck out of here. And that's what happened.
Now, is it at that period of time or somewhere in there that you had a chance to write some letters to your wife?
Oh, no, well, that I ended up writing or publishing my experience of that period of time. But when we were not in combat, I would write notes to my family, thinking that I wasn't going to ever see them again. So the book called Unbreakable was a series of really raw notes that I wrote to my family for lessons that they would do in case I would die.
Right. So you're going through all that there where you get to the point where you've got a choice. You could have given up. You're laying there, you'd gotten hit. Do you ever think to yourself, like, well, I don't know if I can say, well, I can't believe that I was that strong. But I mean, you grow up, you're a normal kid, you're a Midwest kid, and all of a sudden now you're in that position and you find the strength to not only get yourself back up again, but rally your teammates and do what you have to do to survive. I mean, to us, it's pretty extreme. Listen, I'm proud of myself. I played in the National Hockey League, but and I got injured, but I'm not facing bombs and bullets and grenades coming at me. I mean, did you think to yourself like, wow, I'm like, just like I tell people, I say, listen, I think it's great when you're trying to accomplish a goal. You want to go to the gym. I think it's important to look in the mirror, whether it's actually a real physical mirror or not. But look, say, listen, I've done something great. I need to look at myself and be proud of what I've done, but now get back to work again. I mean, you've got to be proud of yourself at that point, that's the man that you become, that you can do that. Yeah,
I think you phrased it well at the end there. In the moment, it doesn't ever feel like strength. Right. That's, I think, across the board in life. When you go through tough things, I don't think they're strength oriented. Are you still there?
Yep, I'm there.
Sorry.
No problem.
Canceled.
I got you.
So what, it didn't feel like strength. It just felt like, I don't want to give up. I want to simply figure out one thing that I can do right now. And then immediately nothing functions well. Like my feet didn't feel like they were under me. I was shaking. That isn't what strength is supposed to feel like. But processing what I call chaos down to simple things, I say, is what strength actually feels like. Or what it actually occurs like is, don't deal with everything, deal with one thing. What can you do right now? And oddly, the future falls out very quickly when you're in crisis. Just what's the next tree that I can get to, or what's the next, move that I can make that I know how to do, as opposed to how everything's going to turn out. And so I look back now and kind of admire the guys that were there, and thank God they were there, because it would have been a lot tougher had they not been. Yeah. But I don't reflect back and think how accomplished I am now. So I wish I did. I just don't.
Yeah, I get you. And I guess you're right. You think about it where, I've talked about like my thing, the true grit life, where, it's about grinding it out every day, right? It's not like some big moment where the music's playing and the lights come on and a miracle happens. You turn into Superman or something. You're faced with a crisis, and to a lesser extent, it happens, like you said, it happens in life where, if you want to accomplish something, or if something is, you've got a goal and somebody's pushed you down, you're not going to succeed by trying to make this big, huge statement. It's just showing up every day and grinding it every day. In your case, it's like, okay, what's the next task I can do here to keep myself going? So obviously that's something now that you have learned and you've taken into life and that you teach other people, correct?
Yeah, I think that's the one missing part of greatness, is it's the simple things that you do every day that make you great. It never feels great though. I'll just, because I don't know, polishing your skate isn't greatness. Yeah. Lacing up your boots doesn't feel like greatness. Right. But when you do it 100 times, people think, oh, wow, he's great. When you're doing it, it's like, God, do I want to do this again? Yeah. Do I want to go to work again? Do I want to turn this around again? Do I want to make that one call? And if you can find that simple shit to do, you win. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I think that's something I've learned as I've gotten older too. Like we've talked about, I look back at my life growing up the farm with my father and grandfather, and it wasn't a glamorous life at all. Nobody's writing any articles about telling them how great they are. But if they don't get up every day and milk those cows twice a day, we don't eat as a family. I don't get to follow my dreams of being a National Hockey League player, but they did. I'm sure there's lots of times they're like, oh God, I got to get up again and milk the freaking cows, right? And they did it all the time. So, you go through, you get home, you survive all this, and now you get out of the SEAL teams. And what do you do next?
Well, I retired in January of 14, and I think the transition is tougher than any combat deployment, because going into combat, you actually know what the heck's going on. You have a support group, you have trained people that are at a pro level, and but when you get out, there's no net anymore. And the transition for me and Stacy, and I think other team guys, or every special forces guy that gets out, the transition is ruthless, because the net is gone and you don't know what to do. Like, I didn't know anything about money, because you get paid, you go to work, you don't know where money comes from. Right. And so right in the first 6 months, and then what happened to me is the VA benefits didn't kick in for 3 months. And I'm like, oh God, here we go. So I didn't make anything from January until March. And Stacy said, all right, here, the fun's over. You got to find something to do quick. And okay, so what do you think we should do? She was, why don't you just complete that manuscript of what you were writing to the kids? I'm like, who the hell is going to read it? Because I didn't know, and not being innocent about it, just being straight now that I'm 51, it's a lot easier to tell the truth.
Yeah.
And so I completed the manuscript, and all the publishing houses said that was the dumbest thing we've ever seen. And Stacey's like, well, let's just put it up anyway. So she puts it up on Amazon and got it edited by professional writers because, I didn't know what the heck I was doing there either. And I just kept grinding it out, not knowing how it was going to turn out. And on Amazon, it went crazy, which got me in front of a lot of audiences that wanted to hear about what I'd learned. And since then, I've developed a year-long curriculum where I teach executives how to get better in 5 areas of their life: their health, their relationships at home, their ability to learn, and how to grow their business, and then an element of spiritual discovery, I call it. So those 5 areas end up 2xing their life. And I've helped 5 companies sell out of that process. And so that's what I do majority of the time now.
Oh. Did you ever think you'd be doing that? Like, you didn't get out of the team?
Oh, heck no.
Yeah.
But it was grind. And I say it stopped being grind last year, where I thought, okay, I think we've arrived. Yeah. And that's the worst thing you can ever say to yourself, is you think you've arrived. And then 10 new things came up. And so this past year has been trying to figure out which of the 10 new things that we're going to go after. Yeah. And so 2020 is a new book and a new element of life that is nebulous, and I have no idea how it's going to work out.
Good. Love that. No idea how it's going to work out. That's the best thing about it, right?
Yep. And every single day, lace up your boots, sharpen your knife, and figure it out.
I don't know what it is about old guys like you and I, but like, I'm 61 now, you're 51, and I feel more like, obviously I had the dream of playing in the National Hockey League, and I loved it. I accomplished that, and I'm proud of myself. But as I've gotten older, like, it's just, I've gotten more, like, I don't want to just sit around and just be a guy that used to play in the National Hockey League. I always want to be doing those new things. One of the crazy TV show Survivor, and it's more because I wanted to do it. It's just like, I don't know, it wasn't really some dream of mine, and the $1 million would have been nice, but it's more like I want to teach people too that you get older, and it doesn't matter if your age or your height or your weight or race or whatever it is. If there's something you want to do, just go do it. Don't have that dream sitting there and just don't go after it. You got to go after it. So, wow. So 30 minutes has gone by here pretty quick. We're going to do this again. You and I get on this podcast.
Down there. I'd love to have you down.
Yep. So let's talk real quick there. So if I come down, we're going to shoot some guns first and then do a podcast. Is that what we're going to do?
Let's go. I'm going to teach you how to shoot at 1,000 yards, and let's film it.
Okay. Oh.
It could either be sad or happy.
That's funny. All right, we're gonna have a blast. All right, well, listen, everybody, it was fantastic having Tom Shea on here. Very motivational, and I'm just, I love the way you talk about life, and how even when you got yourself in trouble there out in battle, where it wasn't about trying to make some big splash or big movement. It was just get up and do the next thing in front of you. And I think that's you and I've talked about it. That's, in my case, that's the True Grit life. That's your life, the way you lead your life. And great having you on the show. So, all right, we'll do it again, guys.
Yep. Thank you all.